All right, good morning. Welcome in another Friday safety focus of the week. Today is July 1st, the beginning of quarter three. We are at the halfway point of our construction season.
The year,
yeah. This week's code of conduct is to drive safely, defensively, and courteously in lieu of this morning's distracted driving topic. But at first, I'd like to let Ben Dow have a chance to put in his little 2 cents on this code item of this week.
Yeah, the biggest complaints that we always get from the public since we got the logos on the door are, people trying to race people at lights or try to get, if somebody's giving it the gas at the light, just let them go. It's okay. We've dealt with another 2 of those this year, and all our guys are usually trying to do is just get out of the way, because we got longer vehicles and people just don't want to be behind a construction vehicle. So, and every time they see the logo, they like to call. Usually when we deal with it, they have some fault in it, but we try to answer every single call that we get when it comes to driving. Between Matt and myself, and sometimes Ken, a lot of times the people in the front office get the call, but we call every single person back. And I'll say that overall, I think that we got pretty good drivers out there. And 50% of all the calls, when they're initially irate, probably 50% of all the calls, they end up kind of backing down and saying that they had a hand in it too. So keep doing a good job out there.
Thanks, Ken. So another 7 days without a recordable, or day counts up to 12. So let's finish the week out strong, headed into the holiday weekend.
Let's finish the rest of the year out strong.
Yeah. That too. We'll keep reminding them next week, every week. So this week we wanted to highlight distracted driving. Distracted drive is the leading cause of all workplace fatalities. Is a worker or an employee getting in a vehicle accident. So per the National Safety Council, this is a pretty eye-opening statistic, is every day there's 100 people in the world die in an auto crash. It's a lot. 100 people a day die. It's really eye-opening. I wanted to highlight, before I get into some of the top 10 tricks of distracted driving, one of the biggest things is cell phones and cell phone use. So I wanted to highlight the ECI cell phone policy. It's been a while since we probably revisited it in the handbook. So again, cell phone use while driving is only allowed with hand-free devices. Texting is prohibited while operating driving company vehicles and equipment. So again, that's highlighted, and I'll keep ourselves accountable. Let's keep those phones down and only make sure we have hands-free devices. If you need a hands-free device, please contact Health and Safety, and we'll point you in the right direction. Wanted to quickly highlight, in the state of Vermont, I ran a crash report. Can everybody see this Vermont Public Crash Data Query tool that's on the screen?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is just the last month in the state of Vermont. How many crashes occur in 12, or I'm sorry, in 30 days. So it's quite substantial. There's been 2 fatalities in the state in the last 30 days. So kind of highlights, you could see Chittenden County extremely populated, but also that's the high likely of an auto accident is right here on our home turf. So again, it kind of, we really need to raise the awareness that our roads here is the highest frequencies of auto crashes. So again, best practice, following distance or controlling your space on the roadways is, you always want to have enough time to react. But the biggest thing is you want to make sure that you're paying attention and you're following these 10 tips that I'm going to highlight here right now. Oh, sorry. Okay, this is from the National Safety Council. It's the top 10 truths about cell phone and distracted driving. Multitasking is a myth. our brains cannot process two mental demanding tasks at once. So the area of our brain that processes moving images decreases by 1/3 when talking on the phone. Cell phone users are 4 times more likely to be involved in a crash. Drivers talking on cell phones miss seeing half of what is around them, including red lights, stoplights, and stop traffic. Number 5, there's no safety benefit to hands-free. So again, when we're driving, we should be really focusing on driving, not taking the time to make phone calls and catch up. You know, really paying attention to the task at hand is best practice. Cell phone use is more distracting than listening to the radio or talking to passengers. Car crashes are the #1 cause of workplace fatalities, like we mentioned. No cell phone use, calls, text, social media, or apps is worth a life. Number 9 is voice recognition features like voice to text, changing music, and navigating are even more distracted than talking on the phone. And then the last one, again, safety is our #1 priority. So let's really try to eliminate the cell phone use while driving, because it is a huge distraction. And as we kind of talked about all morning here, it's really not worth it. Pull over, take the 5-10 minute conversation, and then kind of get back into your car or get back on the road, so you can really focus on the task at hand, and that's getting from where you want to get to safe and sound without getting in an auto accident. Again, 100 people die a day in auto crashes, and distracted driving is the #1 cause of those 100 fatalities a day. So let's really focus in this week and throughout, your career on making sure that you're putting the phone down and you're really focused in on the task at hand, and that is operating your motor vehicle. Ken, do you have anything to add?
Well, only that last night on the way home, later last night, I went to the Industrial Ave paving site, and I headed home about 9:30, and at the 4 corners, stop sign each direction in Williston, down here by my place, or before you get on the Oak Hill Road, really. Someone was going about 40 miles an hour and apparently never saw the stop sign. Nothing happened. They went through later at night, road was clear, but boy, scary to think what could have happened at that kind of speed, because I think they were going way over the speed limit to start with and just went right through that intersection. So probably was either some form of distracted driving. Yeah. All right, let's see. I'm going to take over. Okay, let's see. Scroll down. Here we go. Announcements. It's 4th of July weekend already. Wow. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Monday's the holiday and we're closed. So this today, later on at the end of the day, please secure your job site from all hazards to the public and vandalism and those kind of things. It's important to have a secure job site over these holiday weekends because there's always trouble happening. All time records are due at 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Also from last week, carrying the notice to sign up for the Champlain Valley Fair tickets. Each employee gets 2 adult tickets, and if you request so, you can have a couple children tickets. Sign up with Scott Dean in the front office or give him a ring. Deadline is the 14th. I've already signed up for mine. And I've got a little section on the holiday time entry for Foundation, just to make sure you're doing it right. You could follow these instructions on the codes to enter, and you should be good. If there's any questions, you can ask Matt Siganowicz, or I guess I just copied Sarah's email here. Myself meant Sarah in this case, and they'll help you out. And also, it's a good habit to keep up on your daily time entries every day so that they're fresh and you can resolve issues quickly. before they become an issue. Oops, I think I got to do the photos here. Download pictures. Okay, that's better. Here we go. So we got several new employees. Here's Carson Maskell, Greer Peliquin, Isaac Clifford, and Cameron Hinton. So welcome all you guys, and I expect your crews are getting you indoctrinated and established and safe and in a good place in a lot of ways. So look forward to meeting all of you. I've met some of you already. So we have the primary care wellness program link here, and also for the weather outlook, be cautious today. It's going to be very hot, up near 90. And then for this week, for the project of the week, we're covering the VTrans Charlotte VTRY 15, the Vermont Railway Culvert Rehab in Charlotte, and Ben McKinney is going to present. Ben, you want me to advance the slides or you want to take over?
I'll take over.
Okay, sounds good.
Can you see that, Ken?
Yes, I do.
All right. So ECI is contracted with VTrans to rehabilitate an existing stone arch culvert at milepost 107 on the VTR North Vermont Railway in Charlotte, Vermont. The culvert was built in 1919, has a clear span of 10 feet, and is approximately 65 feet long. It's 20 feet below the tracks in an embankment fill section over the Thorpe Brook. Culvert was in need of internal repointing and repair, and the head walls on each end were actively failing. ECI's scope of work consisted of establishing access, bypassing the Thorpe Brook, dewatering the culvert, stabilizing the head walls in place during the work, repointing the stone arch culvert, and installing grout injection to fill the voids behind the masonry inside the culvert. The most significant aspect of the project, however, was the installation of horizontal tie rods from one culvert head wall to another. So tying the inlet and the outlet concrete head walls through the embankment to each other. Since the head walls were failing, the state's engineers required that they be connected through the clay fill embankment with 3 number 10 grade 75 Dewey Dag thread rods. The contract required the rods to be installed by HDD method, complete with guidance system, pilot hole, back ream, and HDPE conduit pullback. The head walls would then be connected together with the Dewey Dag rods we mentioned through the conduit, connecting them both together through a steel whaler that would presumably spread out and give some lateral strength. So it's not just a nut bearing on the concrete. That was a big heavy channel section. I forget what it was, but it was C something by I think over 100. I think it was over 100 pounds a linear foot. The HDD methods were required by the state since the head walls at the inlet and the outlet are, again, about 65 feet away and relatively small. So we've got the technology to go in there and do conventional not guided TEI style drilling, but to hit the tolerances they were looking for, we really needed to use these HDD methods, and we were required to anyway by the contract. The tolerances were really tight, so we were allowed a maximum of 1 bar diameter of deviations, about 1.5 inches from entry to exit along the whole alignment of the tie rod. ECI's heavy civil and trenchless crews teamed up to plan and execute the work. We shied away from constructing an elaborate pile-supported structure so we could actually get a directional drill in the line of the work, and instead we opted to essentially build our own new HDD system by taking our TEI 550 drill mounted on our John Deere 230 and upfitting it with right-hand thread conventional HDD tooling, complete with Sonde transmitter. So we're taking that, the classic horizontal directional drill tooling, something that's, asymmetrical. So it's a steerable head, a steerable bit, And I think Pat essentially welded that on to a T40 striker, so we could run the smaller diameter rods. I think the HDD guys could correct me, but I think it's some of the tooling that we run, like the JT10 and some of the smaller drills. So this allowed the joint team to drill the pilot bore with the excavator mounted drill. So setting back on the embankment. I can show you a picture of what I'm talking about here. So rather than be in line with the work like we would with the directional drill, we could actually sit on an embankment fill that we made in the dry and drill the work that way. Actually don't have a picture of that.
There's one later on.
Okay. So from the pilot hole to pull back, the TEI produced, as it always has. The team nailed the bullseye on all 3 bores. The tie rods were post-tension and the conduits were filled with grout after installation for corrosion protection. On the repointing scope, ECI teamed up with JL Masonry of St. Albans to rehabilitate the structure itself. The work was conducted under the supervision of the State Office of Historic Preservation, and the work was required to be performed in the same character as the original construction. So they were looking at samples, they were looking at stone coloration and matching everything in, even though it's not in a very visible spot. It was important to VTrans in this case that that everything, look authentic, and it did. It came out really nice. ECI had a major pre-construction effort. ECI had a major pre-construction effort to design and permit access to the culvert from an adjacent town highway. Besides stormwater and wetland permitting, which ECI did in-house, we built roads, ramps, and embankment fills totaling nearly 3,000 yards with dozens of waste blocks and swamp mats to support, the toe end of those slash roads down from the embankment to the inlet and outlet and then up the embankment. So here's a plan view. You can see the culvert here.
A pretty high embankment.
Yeah, 20 feet is just from the tracks to the top of the culvert. From to the bottom of the brook, it's easily another 10. So probably a good 30-foot embankment. There's a picture pre-con, so you can see where somebody's cobbed some steel in there, and they're clearly having issues with it. Not a lot of velocity here, and you're essentially at lake level, which is good and bad. We were concerned that a really, really wet spring, with lake elevations exceeding 100 feet would create a backwater situation for us. We didn't see that. The snowpack this year obviously was minor, and it's been relatively dry. So for bypassing, we were able to do a simple, a robust, pretty significant, but a simple super sack cofferdam with medium diameter HDPE pipe through it, and then a diesel pump and a 3-inch electric pump to just get rid of residual water. Part of that was so we could work in the dry, and we had some work down below water level, and it was also a contract requirement. The state was concerned with grout and mortar entering the brook. You can see that the elevation of the head wall. This is that new whaler with the 3 tie rods, and then they show the repointing work, and then some pointing on the outside as well. You can see that they've mapped each rock on the inside, and they've pointed to different spots. So in addition to repointing, we also had some actual repair where we had to source these similar stones, fit them in. That was by JL Masonry. And then there was also some grout injection. There's quite a bit of overhead and vertical actual concrete work on the inlet and outlet where the culvert had been extended. It wasn't really masonry. That was some refacing that ECI did ourselves. And then we also had voids to fill back behind the blocks themselves. They're calling it flowable fill. It's not really flowable fill, where you have, they've got these conceptual grout injection ports, which you'll see a picture of later. You're standing on the tracks looking down at the ramps we made on each side. That's a decent picture. So you can see the TEI. You can't see the TEI itself. Well, you kind of can. That's the 230 there. So you can see where that machine can sit back and drill, probably a good 20 plus feet from its center pin at a 90 degrees through the head wall and complete the HDD work. There's a nice picture. Looks like that's on drilling day, one of the drilling days.
So they had the SON read out the walkover unit and what would normally be mounted in the drill. Looks like mounted on the table. So that the operator of the TEI could be running just, the rig just like he would be from the inside of a drill rig almost.
Yeah, that's right. And so with Carter locating and Ken drilling, then we also had obviously the rest of the team supporting the operation and had a full-time survey presence to keep us online. That's pulling HDPE back through. So you can see daylight through it.
Good sign.
Yeah, the tolerances they had, probably a little excessive. We were nervous that we would hit them, but moot point because it all worked out. See that big whaler getting hung on the outlet head wall there. The post tension requirement is pretty light for number 10 grade 75. Is only 9,000 pounds, but
Kind of a seating load.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably could have got it by turning that method, but even with the coarse threads. So you can see the saw cuts at some existing concrete work at the interface with masonry. So they require these grout injection ports. Didn't really say what they wanted. So we kind of thought of the old trick of sealing up a manhole where you've got water running in and water plugging in a copper pipe and then crimping off your copper pipe at the end. Kind of what we did. We just used a supply and a return copper line at each void and actually pumped the grout into the copper. And then when we got return, we crimped them off and cut them flush. Just using a simple hand pump for grout. Towards the end, you see the guys in the culvert working on some overhead repair. Using a radial form board here, actually came out really nice, good finish, much better than troweling. There it is. Pretty much the finished product. Cofferdam removed, whaler in, 3 tie rods. We actually did put one of the head walls made us really nervous and kind of looked like it was going to fall on us. So we actually did drill some grouted anchors that are now out of service or at least hidden behind the whaler. But we did have some regular tieback anchors or maybe even soil nail anchors in there just to kind of mitigate that risk. From the archives, we have the Charlotte Passenger Rail Station, not too far away from this job on Ferry Road. We also did a substation not too far from here, if I remember right.
Right in the background, yep. Some of the power the lines overhead probably go to the substation.
I don't know if they're going to use this with Amtrak running or not. It seems like they should. First, they hadn't used it. We did the work, and then it kind of just sat there.
Yeah, it hasn't. I don't know if it ever really got used. I think what was it called? The Champlain Flyer. It might have been in service for a month or two. I can't remember now.
Back in 2001.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you, Ben. Pretty cool project there. The guys did a great job out there. It looks like a great, interesting job, and that was pretty cool that we were able to bring that 230 with the TEI drill in to HDD type of installation methods.
Yeah, it's fun when we get to put our heads together with two unique crews that are good at certain things and put their skills together and make something happen.
Yep, for sure. All right. Okay, Matt, we'll turn it back over to you. You can
Thanks,
close this out.
everybody. Yeah, let's have a great Friday, heading into a holiday weekend. Let's really focus in on driving from this point on, and let's stay safe. And if you watch this meeting in a group setting, please send over attendance so we can document this morning's attendance. And let's beat the heat today, and let's have a safe day and heading into a great holiday weekend. Bye.
Sounds good. Take care.
Thanks, guys.